Ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. Start the show. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome in to another episode of the Triple Play Fantasy Baseball Show, a proud member of Underdog and the Underdog Fantasy family. D-Mendy here, joined by Lil Cheesecake, Marty Party, Doc, and our special guest who we'll get to in just a second. Doc, you just did an Underdog draft yet again. You told me it was the best team that you guys have drafted in the first 3 weeks. Pete Alonso fell to you in like the 6th round, something like that. It felt like the squad was good. So tell me a little bit about it. Tell me about how you guys were able to get such a dynamite team.
You know, we had the second pick, and we had Acuna. We had a lot of. We're doubling down on a lot. We have Brewers starting pitchers with Burns and Woodruff.
Mm-hmm.
We have 3 Blue Jays with Vlad, Bichette, George Springer. We have, of course, Lance Lynn, and some guys we haven't taken. We haven't taken Eloy before. I think it's free money, personally.
I like it. Anything free money, I'm in. Marty Party here tonight, usually with his hat in the front, but it's turning it backside because Party in the back time for Marty Party here. How's it going, man?
It's going very well. Yeah, this is me celebrating spring training with a little bit of funk. Had to turn the hat around.
That's right. And our glitchy third member here, Little Cheesecake. How's it going?
Can you hear me? Am I reading ready? Can you hear me? It's going well, man. It's going great. Excited to talk about pitching.
Yeah, I'm too. And you guys know, avid listeners of the show, there are a few people on the Mount Rushmore of pitching, and we got the George Washington on the show tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome in a man that is the cherrybomb.com. This man is the opposite of a bag of Skittles because you know exactly what you're going to get with him, and that's pitching with a capital P. This man is here to prevent all types of professor-type chaos to your fantasy teams and do it with a smile, a laugh, and a suggestion to throw the curveball more glove side. The founder of Pitcher List and the newly minted FSWA Baseball Writer of the Year, the man who writes the list is on our list of amazing guests. Put your hands together for the one and only Nick Pollack. How's it going, man?
What is happening? Wow, that was unbelievable. There's no way I'm George Washington. No way I'm even close to that. I mean, like, first of all, that's Enosaurus if it's anybody, just so we're clear, because that's like the one that really got us all into it.
You guys are all royalty in my eyes.
Okay, all right. It's an honor to be here, guys. This is so much fun talking to y'all.
I wanted to add, by the way, because Dave didn't even put this in, a member of Sandy Crush, a Gallen gal.
That's right.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you. Yes. I'm wearing my End ALS shirt today. Otherwise, I was thinking about putting on the Live Every Day like it's NOLA Day as well. I had my tie-owned shirt yesterday. There's so many fun ones. I mean, I can't wait to add more. I had Ty Lord McGill. I went to my bagel store and wore that one. They love that one. So I got a free bagel.
If I have ideas for this, Nick, can I just shoot it to you? Because I feel like okay.
Absolutely. And then
I love
I'll say
shirts.
Maybe sometime.
Nick, we have to first touch on you winning Baseball Writer of the Year. Congratulations. What were you doing when you found out the news?
I mean, I was at my computer listening to it, of course. No, it was I couldn't believe it. I still can't. It's a product of so many people that let me do what I do. I mean, I'm writing one position in one sport. You guys are called Triple Play because you do so many different things, and the amount of skill you do that boggles my mind. And I'm just focused on pitching because that's all I want to do, and I'm so lucky that I get to. And so many people that I'm inspired by inside the industry and all, and I'm just incredibly fortunate and lucky. And humbled by it, really.
You give back. You give back. I mean, you do PitchCon, and you're always just very open and welcoming to new members of the community. And that's why you're one of the best. And that's why we're always pumped to have you on the show, and your energy is infectious, and it just creates a whole awesome atmosphere. And we're really pumped to have you for the starting pitcher preview tonight to kick things off. Because who doesn't love talking pitching, right?
Base, though, I really thought it was going to be first base tonight. And I was like, all right, I guess this is what we're going to do.
You know, I was actually, now that you say something, I was no lie one time going to tell you to come on the show and then just throw that at you that it was going to be like a hitting preview.
Let's go. I'll handle it. It's fine. You know, I do play fantasy baseball. It's not like I only draft starting pitching and go, oh, I don't know what to do here. You know, that's not my world. So, but, you know, I'm much rather talk about starting pitching. So thank you for being courteous and bring me on to this specific show.
We love it, man. We love having you. And again, kicking things off, the fireworks are going off with our starting pitcher preview, part 1, talking the first 45 starting pitchers going on FBC right now. And we're going to be doing, like you guys know, every single week. We're going through our favorites and our fades in each of the selected ranges. But before we kind of get to the ranges and the players, just let's paint a picture of what we saw last year to going into this year. So last year, the league-wide ERA was 3.97, and that was the first time it was under 4 since 2015. And also the league-wide WHIP was 1.27, the lowest since 1972. And this with a 5-year low in strikeout rate. The home run rate was the lowest it's been since 2015. Obviously, it looks like the juice ball is gone. Now going into this year, there's new rules, there's shift restrictions, limited pickoff attempts, larger bases. Now it looks like MLB wants to promote the organic offense, more hits, more steals, and it's going to be crazy this season, Nick. So I'm just, before we get into the actual players, I'm curious, do you kind of just have a gut feeling of what the offensive environment is going to be like this season?
I don't really do that stuff. I let smarter people make those decisions for me. When I generally do my analysis, I think it'd be really hard to take everything that we already do and then throw it away to lean somewhere else based on our guess of how the offensive environment's going to change. And that's how I felt with like the dead end ball and the juice ball and a lot of these other factors. And it's just so difficult to put the exact weight. You could say it could be tiebreakers in certain scenarios, fine. But really, when it comes to the offensive environment, if there's one instinct that I have, I mean, it's twofold. It's one that well, it's interesting, like ground ball pitchers get hurt more. But if it's a less dead end ball, then fly ball pitchers get hurt more. So then you kind of knock all that stuff away. And then that's just evened out. But if it is a larger and offensive environment, then it should reward the strikeout more than ever. So it is something to consider with someone like Sandy Alcantara, as much as I hate to say that. I'm still have him as my SP3, just because I think the volume and what he does, there's another gear to unlock too. And I don't think that he's just a 24% K rate guy. And that's that. Like, no, he can be a 27, 28. He can do exactly what Wheeler has done. But it does mean that those that are legitimately 30+% strikeout arms are going to be more immune to the changes that we see this year.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, you have to note the changes and what they could do to affect some of these pitchers, even if it's not only slightly, like you talked about with Sandy Alcantara and still having him at SP3, but expecting that regression. And one of those pitchers that we might have to paint the picture is without Tyler Glass now. So as Colson points out.
And one thing I will say, I'm so sorry, Batflip Crazy, as much as you want to protect Toby's, but Toby's are worse than ever now because they generally don't have higher than a 20% strikeout rate, which means they need to rely more on the batted ball. And MLB has made the batted ball better for hitters than ever. So
will there be eventually degrees of Toby's? Will there be like a Toby?
I actually had another name for a secondary one. It was called a Panda. And that's because they are waiver wire fodder, or WWF. And that was the World Wildlife Federation, which has a panda as the symbol. Also, I always kind of thought that like Pablo Sandoval looked like a wrestler, so panda.
Your brain works in ways that my brain.
This was like years ago and did not catch on. I just like, all right, it's fine. But those are the ones that like are not Toby's, but you look on the wire and like they could be like right there, and they're not. They're just waiver wire fodder.
So is that what actually going to be coming to use this year?
Not
or is that
use
still
that again? No.
No,
That one is
time deal.
I look at that in my on my dresser table and I put it down.
You took it out back.
Yeah. Well, just not okay. Not that's a little too much. Like it's a thing in a.
It's late night here, Nick.
Frame.
We get
It's in a
dark.
frame,
We
okay?
get
It's
dark.
a picture
Yeah.
frame just pushed down. Jeez.
You're right. That's the G-rated version.
Why you
but
guys
all the
pigs
same
getting
thing.
shot here? Like,
You said it, not me. I just said take it out back.
Did they
what do you
blindfold?
think that means?
I think that's what
Take
it
back
means.
out the trash? No.
It could be. I don't know. You never know
Wait,
what people have
David,
heard
did
as.
they at least blindfold it before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
God.
God.
10 minutes
Poor
in, this guy's
panda.
already off the rails.
Yeah. Is it a
Oh,
panda?
goodness.
I mean,
Pandas are already endangered, David.
right.
That's true. Oh, I wish I had thought of that, Art. Oh, man. Now I feel bad.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, Nick, let's kick things off. Let's talk about in the 1 to 15 range. I'm going to take a guess. No, so Nick, you need to be honest with our audience. Did we talk before the show who you were going to pick?
No, of course not.
I'm going to guess
I'm
that your
serious, yeah.
favorite in this range is Carlos Rodon.
I mean, you're guessing because he's 4 on my list.
Yes, but I mean, there's 15 guys you could pick from.
This is true. I mean, so wait, okay, are you including closers here?
No, I'm sorry, just starting pitchers. So
Okay, I'm trying to do the whole mental math of like how many I need to get rid of. So Hader, get him out of here, Class A, and Edwin Diaz. So yeah, I mean, my favorite here is Carlos Rodon. I think Carlos Rodon is phenomenal. I'm sorry your boy Dylan Cease is inside this top 15, and absolutely not.
Ouch.
And I'm sorry, I turned him down in TGFBI. I was actually thinking of doing it at the end of the 4th round, and he was the best starter available, and I still just couldn't do it.
Oh man, my poor boy
yeah.
Dylan.
Is he though? Is he that? I don't know. I feel like poor managers who actually have Dylan Cease this year and have to get him inside the top 50 picks. But Carlos Rodon is pitching for the Yankees. That's a good thing. People think, oh no, it's a bad thing because it's a hitter's park. It's not as much of a hitter's park as you think. Sure, down the lines and everything, but center and all, not at all favorable for hitters. You have a winning ball club. You actually had an above average defense too last season. I don't think that's going to change much this year. And you have Rodon who just did 180 innings. All the concerns about his health and all of that, no, we're good. What he does with his foundation of 4-seamers and sliders is elite. And I think he kind of does what Spencer Strider and Christian Javier want to do over 180 innings. And he just did it for 180 innings on a winning ball club. So I'm a huge fan of Carlos Rodon. I think he's one of the best picks you can make at starting pitcher.
I mean, looking at the pitcher list player pages and you just look at his profile, first of all, there's so much red there. Bundle that up in a bouquet of roses with all that red. Absolutely fantastic. But you've seen just him do it over the last few seasons and I'll always remember this because I was big on the Dylan Cease breakout as well as a few others were, but I didn't hear anybody really talk up Carlos Rodon, but Carlos Rodon was as good, if not better, when he broke out just a few seasons ago. And he sustained that over the last few years. The only questions have been injury related. And now you get a team,
Right.
like you said, with the Yankees that, you know, you expect the wins to be there. The ballpark isn't as bad as you would think for him. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. It was before I listened to you. And then I know Derek Carty, I think, has him as his SP2.
Is that right?
Yeah, something like
Oh,
that.
that makes me so happy. Oh
Yeah.
man, I'm gonna see Derek over the weekend, and I'm just gonna be like, "Hey man, SB2 Carlos Rodon. All right, cool." You know,
Yeah, like you guys both being in on him and just looking into his numbers a little bit more. It's
He's just
definitely
so
I
good.
can see the excitement for him. And he definitely wasn't someone I was looking at in the top 5 or anything close to that. But now I've kind of started bumping him up slightly. And it just looks like the only thing that could hold him back is injury, but he's shown that he's kind of been over that over the last few seasons.
yeah. I
I know.
talked to Steven Lyman about that with the shoulder stuff, and he said, "Look, like he just did a full season with it. It's clearly not an issue."
Well, that's Marty's fade,
Marty,
coincidentally,
yeah.
for this
No,
range.
it's
So
not.
Marty, go ahead.
Well, the last time that Carlos Rodon pitched at least 160 innings, it took him 5 more years to ever pitch that many again. So coming off a career high 178 innings, coming into this year, I am a little bit worried for him to be my SP1. The strikeout upside is obviously incredible. I mean, the long ball there's still a lot of long balls given up at Yankee Stadium. So, and this is the last thing. This is the X factor, Nick, that you can't even put on because can Rodon handle the New York heat?
Of course
day
he
in,
can,
day out. What
actually.
happens if he has
No,
three,
he can't.
four?
Actually, there are good quotes from Carlos Rodon talking about like how he loved that the fans booed him, but booed not him, but the Yankee players. Like he has so much respect for New York and loves that aspect.
What about
of the
4 or
fan.
5?
Um,
What about 3, 4, 5 bad games in a row? You think that's gonna? You think he's just
I
still
think
gonna be
he's
like,
gonna be all
I like
right.
this. I respect
Yeah.
this. You know? I don't know.
I wouldn't be worried about this in the slightest. Yeah, no, Rodon's got this.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. Again, he's not a fade for me. I'm very much interested. I think the health and the mental part seems like the biggest argument from Marty there, but no questioning the actual talent and the stuff when he's healthy.
Yeah, it's less
what he's
him and just the
producing.
guys around him. I'm just more comfortable, you know. I mean, especially if you're taking him as your 4th pitcher. Like I'd rather have Aaron Nola. You know, I'd rather have Brandon
Oh
Woodruff.
man, you want to talk about something you can depend on? Trust me, I love Aaron Nola, but we have seen how he can go in and out, and it's very much based on that command of the fastball. That is a problem with the long ball too. There, the skills of Rodon are much more apparent, I think, of what he does and what results that dictates. If you want to talk about health, also, I mean, yeah, you have like. There's so many inside of the top 10 that are health, and you just had a guy who did 180 innings, and it was more of a fatigue thing in 2021 that he didn't encounter last year. So I'm more willing to bet on the health of Rodon there.
Yeah.
I have a question, just in case does anyone know if the Giants did anything special with Rodon to keep him healthy throughout the season?
That I'm not sure
Nothing
of.
that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Okay. Because I know the Giants have a great staff, great medical staff. So I wasn't sure. Like I know the Yankees have had like a history of a bad reputation as a medical staff, but
And the Giants have the most coaches per player. I mean, they really
is that
invest.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I'm not saying this is a reason to knock him. I'm just wondering if the Giants, if anyone had heard anything about whether the Giants did anything special with him.
Yeah. Doc, I want to go to you next because just like in PE class, you took the most athletic, best kid at dodgeball and picked Corbin Burns. So I don't know. I mean, I didn't think we were all just going to take the best pitcher off the board and say he's our favorite, but go ahead.
I mean, you could, and I think people have said that the number one player at their position they don't like. I love the ADP that you're getting him at. Right now, 16 in the last 2 weeks. You don't have to spend a first-round pick on him. And when you think about pitching last year, Garrett Cole and Burns were going in the top 10 in a lot of drafts. So it's more about where you're getting him this year, if you can get him as your second-round pick. But pitching still carries the same premium in league. Scoring hasn't changed. And he's only 28. He threw 515.2 career innings pitched, which is less than deGrom threw in a 3-year span. So just to kind of put less wear and tear he has, but 202 of that came last season. So, he has volume. Elite home runs per 9 last year was 0.38. The year before that was 0.30. Has 5 different pitches he throws, and the highest had a 250 batting average against, which was his sinker. And I think he's just motivated too, losing an arbitration. I think there's 2 outcomes. One, he pitches very well and has an Aaron Judge type year pitching, and not necessarily where he breaks records, but that he's at the top of his position and is in line for a big payday. Or the Brewers decide they don't want to pay him and they deal him to a contender where it's more favorable.
Now, I know we all
really interesting about Corbin Burns. Sorry to interrupt you there,
You're
David. He is 2nd percentile in the majors in zone rate, if you can believe that. And it's shocking for a guy that has a 6% walk rate to have a sub 40% zone rate across all of his pitches. And it makes no sense. It drives our director of research analytics, Kyle Bland, crazy. Like, how does Corbin Burns do this? PLV doesn't like him because of that, because he's not throwing enough strikes, and it's just more on the decision making of the hitters to be better, essentially, to not swing as much. It does make me the slightest nervous about Corbin Burns, that someone's going to just be like, all right, we're just not going to swing. So you throw sub 40% zone rates, and I should just not swing at all in at bats. And what do you know? You walk us, right? It's just something to at least monitor with Burns. He gets away with it clearly. It's just a very interesting fact about him.
do Is there like a stat in terms of, and maybe it doesn't exist or maybe it does, and is there a stat that shows the amount of time that a pitch looks like it's staying in the zone before it drops off?
I actually, you know, when we're developing PLV, this is one of the questions I asked, like, can we measure that for deceptiveness, essentially?
Yeah.
We found it didn't really do much.
Oh, it didn't?
Because like, you know, even though if it's a slider that is technically a strike along the way, you know it's not gonna just stop what it's doing in its trajectory, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's gonna end out of it, you know. So I think that's why it didn't really have much of an effect.
Because that's the only thing I could have thought of is like maybe his looks like their strikes longer than average, and even though
Right.
hitters probably see that 40% zone rate,
Late
that
break
they're
is
like,
something. Late break is what we do have inside of PLV, but
yeah.
I guess so. I don't know. It's weird. Cornbread is just, it's like, I'm just so glad I don't take pitchers early because I don't have to deal with the Cornbread and stuff. Like, I have him as number 1, but I'm like, maybe I should have Garrett Cole at number 1. I don't know.
Who
Well,
is your number one?
It's Corbin Burns. I have his list
Yeah.
up that I'll reference throughout too. But
It's
Corbin
getting
Burns,
updated next week slightly. But
I was gonna say, yeah, it was from I think early February 7th,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
But
So I will say the thing that does worry me a little bit, because you brought that up, is William Contreras is going to be the new catcher this year. And last year he was in the 20th percentile of framing compared to Omar Narvaez, who was in the 89th percentile. And I think when you see, I mean, because that's sometimes how it is, you know, if somebody's better at framing strikes, it kind of expands the zone a little bit with non-robo umps. So,
well, the good news is that just 68th percentile in called strike rate for Corbin Burns. It was all in the whiffs, 96th percentile. So
there you go, bolstering my argument. Thanks, Nick.
I'm an honest man. It's not about arguments. It's about discussion, right?
That's right. That's
Nick,
right.
I want to ask before we move on, where are you looking to first get your starting pitcher? Like, what round are you?
Depends on the league.
Right.
But generally, I call them the aces of dubs. It used to be 25 of them, but then Glasnow was hurt, and so was Musgrove. So now we're down to 23. But I generally want to have the point where I'm like, okay, cool. At least I got one of these, if not 2. So that means like the 6th, 7th round of 12 teamers or so. I went and got my first starter in the 5th round of TGFBI, but that's because I was in the first spot. I guess the 6th and 7th rounds. Because I couldn't take Dylan Cease. I couldn't do it.
Oh, you're just twisting the knife now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was also Freed. There was also Gausman. There were also others.
Yeah.
And maybe that will come back to burn me, but it's just I felt like, you know me, what's my skill set? I need to get more hitters.
Come back to Burns you later, right?
There it is.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a wonderful thing this is.
It is. So Gino says I can't draft a pitcher until at least round 3. So much variation from year to year. Shane Maddux Bieber is my first pitcher if he's there in round 3. That's where he likes to go.
No.
Gino, Nick, that is not approved.
This is not Maddux. This Bieber's not Maddux.
There you go.
That's not how you spell Maddux. Okay.
We got Nick ready to go.
Tell him what's up. Teach a history lesson, Nick.
But no, it's more of Bieber is all about whiffs with secondaries, and Maddux is about not getting strikeouts, but then surprising with 2-seamers coming back over the plate and making you ground back out to the pitcher. Like that was his whole shtick. Maybe he did spell Matt, and is he? No, it's with a U.
No, it's a U. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not with a no. Yes, it's with a U. So I've seen this name.
I'll double check while we're going here.
It's definitely you.
Let's stay with the Brewers for a second, Marty. Let's talk about Brandon Woodruff.
Yeah, I'm going off on the limb and saying Brandon Woodruff's good. So I know this is crazy, Nick. I'm sure you can't even handle that analysis there. But yeah, ADP 39th.
I love that analysis.
Yeah, it's really good. ATC projections have him for 173 innings, 3.31 ERA, a 1.08 WHIP, and 200 strikeouts. I mean, his stuff is excellent. He has really good demand. He's pretty durable. His top 10 in K- walk percentage. I like the team. You know, I think there's a good amount of wins there, even if the Brewers still will not invest in their offense. For the love of God, just do it once. You're going to do well. But yeah, I really like where Woodruff's at. He's my 5th pitcher. He's going around the 8th pitcher off the board. So I like it. I dig it.
He's a very safe pitcher. I feel like whenever you draft Brandon Woodruff, you're not too worried. Obviously, the beginning of last year was not great, but I think I read that he was going through some injury problems
Oh,
and
it's
just
Raynaud's disease. Oh yeah, I actually have that in my pinky toe. So
it's where
believe it
you
or
lose
not.
the feeling in your fingers, right? Or like
Well,
you
the
lose that
blood
feeling.
circulation isn't good, so all of a sudden it gets super cold and just like gets super like numb essentially. Yeah, you don't get the feeling in your fingers is what happened for his hand. I'm
They
lucky
need to
that's
get him
just
out
my
of
pinky
Milwaukee,
toe.
get him in, Southern California.
I think surprisingly it might still happen there.
Damn.
Martin, I know. It just kind of hits you at one point. It's like, nah, not today. The blood vessel's like, I don't want to look at that guy. I'm like, okay, you don't have to. It's fine.
Yeah, Brandon Woodruff is definitely a solid pitcher in this range. LC, your pick. I don't remember if I saw who you picked in this range. You like Zach Wheeler, the very
I do.
tail end here, and I've seen some people mixed on Zach
yeah.
Wheeler this year.
I'm in. do
Nick
it.
is in. LC, I guess that you are as well.
He was so good. I mean, you look at he put together last season. His innings were down, but little injuries. I think his innings could go back up above 180 again, no problem. And his WHIP was about 1.02 on the season. His ERA was under 3 again. His strikeouts were over 1 per inning again. He's so consistent. He's so good. He's going to be 33 years old. He's not that old. So I really like him. And he's the last. And I mean, it's hard to go wrong with the top 15 pitchers. You're kind of like picking nits with any of them. So if you go with the last one, then maybe you got the best bargain out of all of them. But I like Wheeler. Otherwise, I was taking him much earlier last year, and I think that he's going to be great again.
Did you just say picking nits?
Yes.
Because essentially me at the end of the draft is nicking pits. And that's the way that I roll with this. But no, Zach Wheeler, there was a forearm injury and that limited his innings last year, and we thought we were past it, but then we had the lower velocity in game 2 of last season of the World Series, and that gave us a little bit of hesitation. So that is why you see the lower draft stock. But I watched them yesterday. He looked just that's Zach Wheeler, man.
And what was it last year? Was it his? I remember you talking about how much you were in love with the pitch. Was it his sinker, or was it? It was
some sinker. And I'm very, very good friends with Ellen Adair, and it's so wonderful hanging out with her. And she'll be the one to quote the 52% O swing of Zach Wheeler's sinker, and it's the most glorious thing ever.
That's what I remember.
Over half of the time, Zach Wheeler throws a sinker, he gets a swing out of the zone. It's just it's so wonderful.
And apparently, Gino says is he throwing a slurve too?
Right. So I actually was watching it. And I was like, wait a second. He's got like a cutter and he's got a different slider and everything working. And then later on, it came out that he said he has a slurve now. I wouldn't put much stock into this. This happens a lot in spring where they're just experimenting with stuff. You don't really get to do it in season. You don't want to mess up with things that are working. So it's a spring. You get an opportunity to kind of throw some things in there. If it's really good, then you maybe add it a little bit more. Doesn't matter to me. It's just one of those things that once again, Fast and I will send each other the Bart Simpson image of I will not get buy into a pitcher adding a new pitch on the blackboard. Yeah.
It's pretty much new pitch, drive line. You see those are like buzzwords.
Drive line is the new best shape of his life, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can't get sucked into that stuff all the time, especially like you have to see the results to consistently, I think, from the to be able to think if it's actually going to be a thing. Real quick, I'll go mine. Spencer Strider. I put him as my SP4 right, I think back in December.
Wow.
And I think at the NFBC during that time, he was SP9. Now he has risen up to SP4.
Oh, man.
On the NFBC. So I felt like I was ahead of the curve on that. But again, he's a very high risk, high reward type of guy. The fastest pitcher.
Do you want to do that? Do you want to do that as like that early in your draft? Take such a risk?
I've been taking him a lot. I was earlier taking him a lot at the 2-3 turn. Like I've had a lot of early picks this year in my drafts, and I just take him like usually in that second, third round range. And I get him as my SP1. And it's definitely a very risky strategy. I mean, the fastest pitcher in Major League history to reach 200 strikeouts in a single season and 130 innings, a 38.3% strikeout rate, which was 5 percentage points higher.
It was lovely.
Yeah. And I mean, just obviously 2-pitch pitcher. That's the big thing on him, the big knock on him. But his four-seam fastball had 120 strikeouts last year. He used it, rode the top of the zone, averaged 98 miles per hour with that pitch. And his slider had a 52.2% whiff rate, which was the second highest of any pitch in baseball. Minimum of 300 swings. Like, he has the stuff, and I don't know if he'll experiment with a third pitch this year, if he'll just stick with those two. I think the big thing people have been questioning is, hey, 130 innings, rookie season. What can we expect from him this year? Are hitters going to pick up on him? Is the innings workload going to be too much? Those are like the two big questions. But I feel like he's that type of guy that what I saw last year, I'm ready to take the gamble.
I mean, it was so fun. It was so electric and incredible. And I want it to work out. I want it to be great. The way I see it is, I mean, you know the phrase, you can't win a draft, but you can lose one.
Yeah.
And a pick like Strider is putting yourself in a bigger spot to lose it than a safer pick. And considering how I am with pitching, where it's like, well, there's always somebody, like a lot of guys you can find that are also really exciting. I would much rather have the security and foundation of a sturdy arm early on instead of Strider if I'm going to spend that kind of draft pick on him. That's just me though. I'm jealous. You know, like I want to have Strider on my teams. That puts the fun in fantasy, which is totally in there. I spell FAUN. Fantasy. But yeah, I get it. I'm just amazed that it's gone this high. Because I mean, there's so many really good pitchers.
He was going. I remember when we did the draft at First Pitch Arizona, and I got him. I'm pretty sure I had him in that draft. I think it was like the 4th or 5th round in that draft. Wow. And now, yeah, he went in the middle of the 2nd round of my TGFBI. Like, he didn't even fall to me at the first pick on the turn. So like, it's pretty crazy how high he's been pushed up now. You have to spend a 2nd round pick on him to get him at this rate. And that's where it's starting to become interesting. But at the same time, Garrett Cole, Corbin Burns, Spencer Strider, those are the 3 biggest locks for 200 plus strikeouts at this point.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's like Aaron Nola, Garrett Cole, Corbin Burns. To me.
Okay.
I would put it that way. I mean, I understand what you're saying about Strider, but that's also assuming that he has a 38% strikeout rate over the volume he's going to get next year, which I'm not saying it won't be, but he had a smaller window to do that, right? Fewer innings. Yeah, I mean, he's up there, obviously, for it. So I totally get it. Dylan Cease can throw in there. Robbie Ray you can throw in there. You can throw, I don't know if Woodruff, maybe Alcantara, just because of the volume. But then again, he just got over 200 and he was at 228. I'm assuming the strikeout rate gets better, but it could not. So yeah, he's certainly in the conversation, but it's not, I don't know. It's just, it's a harder one.
He's polarizing. He's very polarizing.
Yeah, I don't think polarizing pitchers early or players early, really.
Well, let's take a look in the same range and let's talk about pitchers that we're fading. I know a few of us are going to be on this same guy. It's the bingo card, the little free square in there. Doc, I know me and yourself, we're both out on Jacob deGrom this year in general. I'll let you kind of go ahead and just kind of tee it off there and I'll add anything. But is anybody else out on Jacob deGrom this year, or is it just us two? You're out as well, Marty. Nick's out. We might as well just make that our entire pick here.
It's again same exact thing. It's just too much risk.
Mm-hmm.
So it just can't.
What I think is interesting is you look at the different projections. Steamer has him going 172, ATC 145, Zips 107 or 100.7. Like, that is such a wide range of innings thrown.
Yeah, I mean, he's made, I think, 26 starts over the last 2 years. And I know the oblique or the little twinge he had in spring, just when he was starting to throw early, was they blamed it on the cold. But at the end of the day, he's 34 years old and he throws 100 plus miles an hour. And it's not like he's a Max Scherzer or Justin Verlander, where we've seen him do it consecutively year after year over the last few years.
Well, not the last few. Yeah.
I'm saying the last few years.
Yeah,
and if he's getting older, the chances he probably will still do it are less and less at this rate. We don't have to spend too much time on this. We're all fading Jacob deGrom. I have him as my SP9. I think, Nick, you have him as your SP9 as well.
Yeah, I might have him lower just because I find myself I can't do it. And
yeah,
I'm going to push him back. I'm going to be pushing him and Max Scherzer down, I think.
Yeah,
So.
he's very risky. So let's get to some more interesting players that we're going to touch on in a second. Nick Lodolo will be mentioned in this episode, Vinny. I can guarantee you that. Luis Castillo, Noah Syndergaard probably on another episode, but we'll talk about Castillo. But let's go to you here for the exciting range, the 16 through 30. This is where you can start getting some of the guys that I know you're waiting to get. So who do you like here?
I mean, there's so many. Well, this is what I do. This is generally where I target stuff. I'm gonna shoot from the hip in the sense of like I'm there. This is where all of them are. I don't really know exactly what the ADP is. As you mentioned, Luis Castillo is a fun one that I have him at like SP10 essentially.
Mm-hmm.
He's in this range. I'm a big fan of Christian Javier. I see that everyone else all of a sudden now is, so fine. Okay, then.
They go back to back.
Yeah, right. Jordan Romano's in between, right? Of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I found myself getting my SP1 in TGFBI was George Kirby. And what I established after 2020 was, okay, who are the ones in 2021 who I feel are immune to what we expect to be a depression of innings, right, in 2021, because no one was, it was only 60 games, and who can't have that workload again, who I think is immune to it. And those two guys were Zach Wheeler and Alcantara. And I leaned on those saying like they could not only do the innings, but they can also have strikeout rates above 25% in that time. And all of a sudden that's just immensely valuable. I'm targeting them every year. And then I kind of realized that strategy doesn't just like only for 2021. Alek Manoah was someone like that last year. And if you targeted him for that, there you go. And trying to think of for this year, George Kirby is the first one that jumps off the page to me. As someone who's not a de facto ace yet, he's outside of what I call the aces of dubs. But George Kirby has a fastball that had a 19% swing strike rate against right-handers last year. I mean, that's just what? That's so good. And then he has obviously great control. Sometimes he made too many easy pitches with his curveball and his slider. I think there are adjustments to be made, though, with those two. And I think that I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt in a second year of development to improve on the curveball and slider. It's why I'm in on him and not Gilbert, because Gilbert already had that year and didn't make any improvements. And I'm more skeptical that he can this year, while Kirby at least has the mystery box of maybe he could, right? But it's a winning ball club. It's a good situation in Seattle. He'll go every 5 days. They'll let him go 6 innings all the time. And I'm a huge fan of that. So there are my guys, I guess, that I'm going to be targeting a lot.
George Kirby, it was a tie between picking like two of my favorite sons, between George Kirby and Triston McKenzie.
No, not that one, though.
Well, I'll have to explain McKenzie in a second.
Yeah,
but George Kirby, I like as well. He from July on last year, 2.92 ERA. The Mariners won 11 of his final 15 starts. And of the 121 pitchers who threw more than 600 four-seam fastballs, talking about, again, like you're talking about how well his fastball played last year, he actually had the third best run value on his third lowest run value on his fastball, behind only Nestor, Cortes, Luis Castillo. And one of the reasons I was also intrigued is people were talking about, he's barely averaging a strikeout per 9, and he's working on a changeup this offseason. I know his slider, he's trying to, fine tune it a little bit. There was a great article from lookoutlanding.com talking about George Kirby working on, I believe it was the changeup or the two-seamer and slider combo. And he played around with this combo. Pre-All-Star break had a 378 FIP, post-All-Star break 302 FIP. K minus walk percentage 19.3, pre-All-Star break 21.6, post-All-Star break. Ex-Woba also went down an extreme amount for batters. It was something he actually was really tinkering and working on. It's just great. There's so much great information on it. I won't quote everything from it, but it was just, you can really see the difference in a pitcher he became when he had started adopting this approach here. And that's why I like him a lot. Triston McKenzie, though, Nick, this is going to be interesting because I know. So Triston McKenzie right now, he is going, I believe, as like
too high.
It's too. Well, I'm choking on my words here. Wait a second. I'm looking at your list just so I can get the right reference here. SP40.
Yeah.
SP40.
I told you I didn't like him.
It sounds like sunscreen.
SP40. That's great. our PL projections, which is ATC merged with PLV, essentially. 4.01 ERA, 120 WHIP for Triston McKenzie.
So I mean, I always respect the projections. I will say though,
what a kind statement.
So let's start with this. So over his last 71.1 innings last year, a 2.40 ERA, that's over 11 starts with 77 strikeouts. Fastball was an elite -17 run value, great curveball. The whip is always fantastic. 0.95 whip last year. He's always just a guy that you can expect to hover around sub 1 whip from what he's shown in the past. He's improved every single year, just looking at his numbers year by year. McKenzie recorded at least 12 strikeouts in a game 3 times last season. No other pitcher had more than that. There were a couple pitchers that tied that: Ohtani, Rodon, Garrett Cole, and Strider. And he was one of only 6 to throw 14 strikeouts. So we know the strikeouts could be there. But there's a great article on Fangraphs that is talking about basically the return of the strikeout stuff and talking about how he's adapted his approach over time as well. And talking about how he stopped trying to just strike people out and he started throwing in the zone a lot more. And you can take a look at that when I want to make sure I get the author, Leo Morgan Stern.
Yeah.
Puts the new approach little graph here. From April to June last year, his zone percentage was 32.5%. From July to October, 43.7%. Contact rate also went up 7%, but the strikeouts stayed about the same. But he was also getting less walks. The whip was going down, and he was facing less batters per game. Plate appearances were going down. The pitches per plate appearances efficiency was going up. And then he was being able to strike people out at that similar rate because they knew he was going to throw the ball in the zone, and they were swinging and missing when he would drop stuff off the table. I think McKenzie, and I follow him on Instagram too, and you can see the work he's putting in. Triston McKenzie, I think, is definitely also going to make a leap forward this year.
So a few things there. One, Leo does some operation stuff with us now. He was a writer with us. I love Leo. I will always encourage reading his work. He's fantastic and just a great person. Two, I shared something.
Let me pop it on screen.
Push it up here. So this is Triston McKenzie's PLV last year. And it'll be hard to read one of these numbers because it's so blue. It is league percentile, 5th percentile for PLV, and that's Triston McKenzie's slider. It's a 4.68, which is the equivalent in ERA terms of a 4.35 ERA pitch. That's not good to throw 25% of the time. And that's a slider. Sliders are traditionally well above average, where they are like 5.2, 5.3 PLV stuff, like sub 3 PLAs, right? And that's really bad. Essentially, he's super inconsistent with the sliders. Command is terrible. The 4-seamer is slightly above average, above a 5. But it's something that gets thrown too much in the zone. This is why our PLV projections don't like McKenzie, because he essentially gets away with stuff. The curveball, that despite having a swing strike rate above 20%, still has a really low PLV. Why is that? Because he bounces so many. He makes a lot of mistakes with it. And it's us saying, look, you used run value, which is saying this is what the results are. But that's not a pitch quantifier. That's an event quantifier. That's a results quantifier. That isn't actually quantifying the pitch itself. And what PLV is doing is saying, look, regardless of the actual outcome of it, this is the qualities of it that should dictate it being good or bad. And McKenzie does not have favorable PLV marks. And it's something that it was so, validating to see. Maybe a confirmation bias. But when I've been encountering Triston McKenzie all of this past year and watching him and everything, it was just so tough to watch because I'm like, this should not be working. Mm-hmm. And I wanted some validation for it. And all of a sudden PLV spits that out. I'm like, thank you. I think it's a trap, honestly. I think the 4-seamer needs to be a lot better as far as command goes. Oftentimes, actually, the reason that it's nice to see guys that have more muscle on them as pitchers, at least in the lower half, is because it helps sustain their mechanics. Mm-hmm. If you're balancing on your leg and trying to do all these things, the stronger you are, the more consistent you are every single time you throw it. And what we see with Triston McKenzie is that he's inconsistent with his pitches. And even though it's in the zone, that's good control. Fine. It was better but it wasn't actually good pitches inside the zone. I think Triston McKenzie is going to get burned a lot this year. I'm not saying that he won't be good for your teams. He's still 40 for me. If you're number 40, that means you actually, I would like to have you on my roster. You know, Nick Lodolo's 41, you know, and I want to have Nick Lodolo on my roster, right? But Triston McKenzie should not be inside the top 30 or so, in my view. I think there are a lot of other pitchers that are just going to be more solid and consistent for you this year that are more worth the draft pick. But that's just me, David. I was the one sitting here last year being like, there's no way, no how Dylan Cease is worth your pick. And you were just shouting on top of the mountains, being like, I'm going to get Dylan Cease. He is my man. And I didn't get it right. You got it. And you were completely correct. So who knows?
Oh,
right now, what I'm
finds
seeing
a
with
nut
McKenzie,
every once in a while.
I'm not in. Oh, stop that. But yeah, something needs to change with McKenzie. I watched them yesterday. And I was like, yep, this is the same old inconsistent McKenzie. So I'm not interested.
That's fair. I mean, again, like you said, you have him SP 40, so it's not like you're bashing him and saying he's not worth your pick. Like you said, he's still definitely could be someone very useful for your fantasy teams this year. You just don't see that elite type of leap from him this year, like you could see with George Kirby, like you were mentioning earlier.
I'm really sorry to do all of that. I put him in the bust article I put out yesterday. So.
Oh man. Oh man. LC, we haven't heard from you in a while. Let's talk about your favorite in this range. Who are you looking at?
Zach Gallen is my favorite in this range.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Let's go.
Zach Gallen. I mean, people talk about how great that stretch was where he went 40 something innings without giving up an earned run. I don't know the exact innings, however, but I took the full games where he didn't give up a run out of his season last year. Ooh. His whip was still about 1.0. His ERA was only 3.28 if you took 40 innings of 0 earned runs out of his season. He was still a 3.28, still over a K per inning. And like I said, a whip of 1. So he was impressive outside of that stretch as well. And so, you know, even if his best stretch isn't quite 40 straight innings without giving up a run, you're still going to get a workhorse who went over 180 innings last season and is going to be 28 this year. There's no reason why he can't go again on an Arizona team that is improving. So I think Gallen could improve his win total as well as give you the same great ratios, although probably not the same great ERA that he gave you last year.
Oh man, all of Gallen's pitches, save for his 4-seamer, had a 5.2 PLV or higher. Oh boy, it's so lovely.
Way better than Triston McKenzie.
Way better.
Well, I would never argue. Oh wait, actually, I did have that. Rankings can always change. I mean, I had Zach Gallen as 23, and Nick has him as 19.
Yeah,
so
like Gallen.
We do have him in a similar range.
Yep.
I have nothing wrong to say about Gallen. That scoreless inning streak last year, obviously very impressive. Looks like he's really found another gear, especially Brent Strom there. He's talked about how much that he's helped improve his game as the pitching coach there. What's his ceiling? What's Zach Gallen's ceiling?
Ooh, I think we saw it, honestly. It's kind of tough because I don't know what changes for him. That's always a question I like asking. Is like, all right, how can this guy actually be better than he was? It's hard to think that the 4-seamer is much better. Super high called strike rate last year, unless you all of a sudden think it can be a 13% swing strike rate pitch. I don't. Maybe the cutter and slider become more whiff pitches than they have been in the past. I mean, the changeup and the curveball, their low locations are elite. And that's a huge, huge factor. He throws low fastballs and then those underneath it, and that works so well for him. So I don't think he can do it much better than he did last year.
Yeah, I would say I feel you on that one because, again, the scoreless inning streak, just how dominant he was down the stretch, I can't see a better scenario than that. But I think he still firmly has established himself, you know, as one of the upper tier arms in the league and someone that should firmly be a top 25 or so starting pitcher. Again, some people have him, I know, closer to the top 10. I've seen some rankings. So Zach Gallen, definitely elite. Marty, you really like the guy that was kind of scared of the BABIP boogie monster last year. His BABIP was just awful. And everybody talks about eventually that regression is going to come back in his favor. Is that a big reason why you like him for this year?
Yeah, and this is actually the first time I'm fully in on Kevin Gausman. So ADP 65.1. He's the 18th starting pitcher off the board. 2022, 174 innings, 205 Ks, a 3.34 xERA. And my favorite part, he only walked 3.9% of batters. That's absolutely beautiful. ATC projections have him for 179 innings, so pretty much the same thing. A 3.41 ERA. 1.10 whip, and he's projected to eclipse the 200 strikeouts with 201 Ks. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, he's a proven ace for me. You know, I love the Blue Jays for wins. The Rogers Center is a middling park, you know, when it comes for as far as like a pitcher's park. So a lot of people still think of it as this big hitter's park. It's really not. And most importantly, he has the 5th best strikeout minus walk percentage at 24.4. So I'm just all in on him. I'm getting him like sometimes in the third round.
Want to know something fun about Kevin Gausman?
Hit me with it.
We have our fun stat, which is called hit luck. Essentially, instead of normalizing BABIP to its own, you know, whatever the pitcher's context is, all hit luck is normalized to the pitcher itself. So based on the pitches you threw, you should have had 0 hit luck. That is this amount of hits. We believe that Kevin Gausman allowed 34 more hits than he did. He allowed 40 more hits than he should have last year. There you go, Nick. Good job. First percentile in that. So that's terrible. Ooh. 34 more hits. If you remove that and actually put it into his whip, it turns into 104 last year.
That's nice. Machi.
That's a nice little nuggy stat.
And that's the thing is that I've gone back and forth on Kevin Gausman because I want to say, yeah, 364 BABIP. All right, that's like historically bad. It's going to be obviously better in some fashion. Didn't realize it would be like this kind of thing. But the four-seamer deserved to get hit pretty hard. 37% hard contact against left-handers, 40% against right-handers. I mean, that's still not a good thing for Kevin Gausman. And so I was kind of out, like dramatically so, on Gausman. And then you throw in the Rogers Center being really, really good for hitters. It looks like the defense for the Jays is not in his favor. Maybe it's the turf or so. I know Alek Manoah's on the other side of this, but I feel like Alek Manoah just got shift benefit a lot. Mm-hmm. So that makes me out. But then the hit luck thing is in, and I can't make up my mind. So I just don't draft him.
Well, Nick, let me ask you: do you still think of the Rogers Center as primarily a hitter's park?
Oh yeah, and even though with the walls being higher, my understanding, everything I read is like, no, that's going to favor hitters a lot more than pitchers.
Park factors from what is this? Baseball Savant has it ranked 17th
from last year, right?
This is I think it's the rolling 3 years.
Right. So they moved in the walls.
Yeah, that's true.
And they raised them, and everything I've read about that is saying, "Oh boy, this is helping." You're right about the Rogers Center not that favorable. It was more about the Buffalo.
You think the additions are going to be that big?
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing. So that scares me. I see. This is just me like having anxiety and rolling in bed at night. It's bad. So I hope you're right about Gausman. And then again, it's a splitter though. It's a splitter. All right, I can't handle this. Someone else talk about Gausman.
Well, I know, Marty, me and you are both on the fade side of another Toronto pitcher. But before we do that, Doc, let's talk about the last like in this range, Luis Castillo. We talked about him earlier. Nick loves him. He's awesome. Potential top 10 pitcher this year for a Seattle ball club that should be able to stack up a lot of wins. And he really turned a corner when he went over to the Mariners last season.
He's my dark horse to win the AL Cy Young at plus 1,700 on some sites.
What are the odds?
Plus 1,700 on some sites.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's going to have a full season out of Cincinnati, and he's a guy that even playing in Great American Small Park has been really good at limiting home runs per 9. Last year was 0.78 between both teams, but the year before that, 2021, was 0.91 in Cincinnati, and in the shortened season was 0.64. Even 2019, the Happy Fun Ball was 1.04. So I'm really loving what I'm going to see with him in Seattle. The time that he was there, 4-2, 3.17 and 65.1 innings pitched. He's not coming into the season with an injury like he had last year. The Mariners actually held him out of the WBC to keep him healthy. And this is kind of what I like about it is Seattle signed him to a 5-year extension worth a little over $100 million.
Unbelievable.
What the value?
How good of it? Yes.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And this is the part of the contract I like is Seattle has protection if he has an injury to his UCL between 2025 to 2027,
That's
meaning that they'd
specific
only have to pay him
contract.
$5 million in 2028 if he has Tommy John surgery or an injury related to those pitching ligaments, which means to me that they're going to have him pitch now, that they're kind of in a win now territory. They maybe won't monitor his innings. He's a guy that's thrown 190, 187 in 2 seasons. Great fastball velo, 93rd percentile, and has a great changeup, and is playing on a team where he will likely get more wins than he's ever had before.
He also changed his pitch mix. I know when he was with Cincinnati, he was known for throwing his changeup so highly. In 2021, threw that pitch just over 30% of the time. And he went heavy four-seam fastball approach when he was with Seattle.
Yeah. So I
changed a lot.
Sorry
No,
to
you're
interrupt you, David. That changeup was so bad last year. Oh man, I want to say yesterday, but like also yesterday and all of last year. He's become more of a four-seamer slider guy. Exactly right. The slider is just really good though. And oh man, Luis Castillo is so good. I wonder though, how cold does it get in Seattle in April? That's always been the thing with him. What do you know? Last year he avoided April because he was hurt.
Yeah.
In 2020 he avoided it because it was 2020. It is kind of curious. It's always been the thing was that he performs better in the middle of the year, and he goes to Seattle. It's the middle of the year, does well. So I don't want to overlook that during this season, but still, I really dig Luis Castillo. I think I had him at 10 or 11. He might be 9 now because I might be moving down Scherzer and deGrom. So I'm very
Is there a
much
reason you're moving down Scherzer?
Oh yeah, I just think he's not sustainable for the volume through the year. He's getting older. His fastball velocity has declined a little bit for the past 3 years. Not dramatically, but it's gotten lower. And it does feel like more as a guy that is the Scherzer is kind of Kershaw almost at this point, and we're hoping that's not the case. Also, I think his ratios from last year that are so good are not going to be that good of a
Nick, let me ask you a
2.21
question.
ERA and 0.91 whip.
So obviously, many of us didn't expect Justin Verlander to have the year that he had last year, correct?
No, actually, I predicted a 1.8 ERA, so I was a little bit off. Of course, yeah, no way.
But Verlander did this at age 39. I'd say Scherzer and Verlander. Wait, do I say Verlander weird?
Verlander, like it's like a fantasy novel.
I totally missed that.
Justin Verlander over here.
I say Verlander weird.
Verlander.
It's like okay. You guys know the joke of oh man, it's Dave Grohl doing SNL, and he has it with Christopher Walken, and he says, "Where's the emphasis on Foo Fighters?" And he says, "It's on the Foo or the Fighters," because it's on the Fighters, because he thinks, what is this going to be? So Christopher Walken goes, and now Foo Fighters, and it's like so wrong, and it's like what you're doing with Verlander here. It's Verlander, no, it's Verlander.
I don't.
Can we just appreciate Can we appreciate your Christopher Walken?
That was a good Christopher Walken.
That was very good.
All right. I normally need to rev up the engine, so I didn't know if that was going to be
okay.
So you went in there cold engines, and it was
okay. So rather than saying his name, I'm going to say Kate Upton's boyfriend had a great
husband.
season.
Husband, get it? Yeah.
It's like you can't. Doc, please.
Titles mean a lot to Nick.
Yeah, that's right.
Just being right.
How about home? I had to say Ben Verlander's brother.
Well, no, because then I'd have to say the last name also.
Oh yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Do I believe that Justin Verlander is going to replicate? Am I concerned about him as I am with Scherzer?
Well, that's what I was saying. Scherzer's now 38, where JV did it.
Not all
age
ages the same. We get worried about guys at 34 at times for being older, right?
That's true.
Justin Verlander just kind of proved that he's all good. He did over 175 innings. He just did it. And Scherzer's had injury questions, and he's showing signs of degradation. It just seems more worrisome to me.
Fair.
Marty, I want to go talk about the flip side of the coin here and talk about the players that we're looking to fade. And we talked about Toronto pitchers. We talked about Kevin Gausman. We talked about the park changing. And me and you both look at Alek Manoah, and we said no thanks. So I'll let you go ahead and you can kick off why. And then if I might add something or two, but you go ahead.
Well, first I have to start off by saying Alek Manoah is one of my favorite players in all
That's
of
why I was
baseball.
shocked when you
Yeah,
put him
he's
as
got
a
that
face.
dog. He's got that
He
dog.
is
in
one of
him.
my most. Not only that, but just from a dude perspective, like listen to a few interviews, whatever. Great
Yeah.
guy. So it's nothing to do with that. I just need more strikeouts out there, and you're just really relying on him to get to the 190 innings, so he can get you the 180 strikeouts, which is very possible. He's a beast. He's a dog. He's the problem, but. I don't know. They got him for a 3.68 ERA, does ATC projections over those 189 innings pitched, 1.14 whip. I mean, Nick just told us how bad Rogers Center is going to be. So for pitchers, so that's another feather in the cap against them. But yeah, his stuff's not as flashy. Like when you look at it, it just doesn't hold up with the people that are around him as far as an upside with strikeouts. And that's the biggest thing I'm looking for. I don't want to have just an innings eater at that point.
So you had me until the flashy part. Sorry, David, go ahead.
I was just going to add ERA 2.24 last year, but all the ERA metrics way higher, not just slightly higher. xERA 3.31, FIP 3.35, xFIP 3.97. They basically said this was a lucky 2.24 ERA, and it wasn't even close. So I see all of that, and that also scares me because, again, like we were talking about with the park factor, it's another year of hitters potentially seeing him, especially if he's not going to change anything. We don't know if throwing a new pitch or adding velo or anything like that. I just don't see anything where I think last year was like a best case scenario type of thing for him.
Yeah. So I was just talking about Gausman in the conversation of hit luck, -38 for Alek Manoah. And that's shocking. He allowed 38 fewer hits than he should have. And that should have gone the other direction. And you see like, oh, right, that BABIP was like 245. Okay, I get this. But the thing is, Alek Manoah, he is flashy, though. His four-seamer gets just like
I was
George
going to say, am I
Kirby.
underrating his stuff? When I see his stuff metrics, it's just, a little bit barely above average. It's just,
Yeah, I understand. He gets a lot
Is
of
it the
whiffs
chain
on the
that's flashing
four-seamer.
you, Nick? I think the chain's getting you.
But
You're
the
like-
slider, as if you watch that thing, it is filthy. It is a filthy slider. And I actually do think that over time, he can get more whiffs on that. He even talked last year, Manoah, about his sinker, and he lost it for a good amount of time. He even said, yeah, I'm not doing as well right now. I feel like I'm getting more lucky than I am actually being myself because my sinker isn't locking in at the moment. And I think that's a huge part of what he does is getting that sinker inside to right-handers, big O swing on that when it works, but it leaked out over the plate a lot. PLV hates it because he threw so many inside the zone they got away with. It's why we call Adam Wainwright's sinker one of the worst pitches in baseball, surprisingly. Despite its high called strike rate, we think that it should be slapped around the field a lot more. And Manoah's was the same. And I think if he throws the same one again, he will. The biggest problem I have with Manoah, my assessment, I should say, is I don't think what we see in 2023 will be the same thing we see in 2022 from what he does on the field. But I can't tell you how much better it is. And that's where I don't know what to do. Because, right, the Rogers Center, the BABIPs, all the stuff, our projections have like a 376 and a 117 whip and a 23% K rate. Like, I get that. But that's also projecting it from the last 2 years of Alek Manoah. And I think the slider gets better. I think the sinker is a better offering. And I think just overall, he utilizes what he has better. But then Rogers Center. So I go back and forth on Manoah. I go back and forth on Gausman. I don't know what to do with these Jays. And I'm likely going to be lowering Manoah a little bit in my current one. But I don't want to overlook that there is a ceiling that we haven't seen from Manoah from a skills standpoint. We might not see that ERA again, sure, 224 last year, but 23% K rate? No. If I had to wager today, I would say that he's going to have at least a 25% strikeout rate this year. You can bank that one. All right, more strikeouts, whatever the prop is for Manoah this year. Go over.
All right, okay. So let me ask you, Nick, in a vacuum, George Kirby or Alek Manoah?
Well, Alek Manoah, I have that one set. That's fine. I like them both, but I think Manoah is a little bit more stable. He's already done 196 innings too. So
because I noticed you said you were going to lower Manoah. You have him at
I'm
18.
keeping Kirby. He's still inside the aces of dubs. Manoah is, while Kirby's the first one out.
Okay. So close, but you'll take Manoah ahead. So okay.
Yes.
All right. And those are for those bettors out there, take the over on the Manoah strikeout props there.
Whatever that is. I have no idea what they're doing, but yeah, it's going to be higher.
Doc, let's go to you. Let's talk about your favorite, your fade in this range. And it looks like that you, if I would read the comments, because you put them separate from everybody else, you're fading Hunter Greene, whose teammate we're going to talk up in a second. I've heard many people on the Hunter Greene fade train because straight line fastball doesn't play well no matter how fast you throw, the potential arm injuries that can happen. You go ahead and you continue to make the argument.
I mean, there's that point. There's the point that he is in his second year, and we don't know how many innings that he's going to throw. Once again, there's a variation on the projection. Zips at 128, ATC at 159, and the bat at 159. I think Zips is probably closer to what he'll throw. I don't think Cincinnati has incentive to have him go over 150 this season. They're not really contending for anything. Last year, 1.72 home runs per 9, playing in Great American Small Park. Command issues, 3.5 walks per 9. I look at that first half ERA at 5.78. I think he ended the season really well, which for recency bias is probably moving him within this range. But when you think about it too, especially in a roto league, wins are going to be a problem. He's probably not going to get a lot of run support. And I like the skill set. I just can't take him. What is he, a pitcher?
He's, I think, just outside the top 30. I think he's like at 30.
He's at pitcher 29 right now over
Okay,
the last couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't do it. He's going one spot after George Kirby.
Oh,
It's crazy to me for them to see in that same range. And Nick, I can tell you just want to say something.
I was going to say real quick about Nick. Watching him is like, it's like watching those old like YouTube reaction videos from like 2012.
Yes.
Like he's
That's
losing
all I
his
do. My
shit.
entire content is just reaction videos. Oh man. Okay. You want to know something hilarious?
What's that?
We have Hunter Greene, Spencer Strider, and Christian Javier with the same exact strikeout projection of 203.
Interesting.
Hunter Greene initially broke our projection system.
Hunter Greene on DraftKings, his line is at 191.5. And Alek Manoah's,
I'm taking the over.
Alek Manoah's is at 183.5.
I'm taking the over.
The overs are favored on both of them slightly.
Interesting. So Hunter Greene 326 ERA to us. Spencer Strider's 315. WHIP 109 versus Strider's 108. Innings 161 to Greene, 156 to Strider. But Strider's got 2 more wins. I just took Robbie Ray over Hunter Greene in TGFBI just because I was behind in starting pitching. It was my SB2. And in 12 teamers, I actually want to take Hunter Greene more as my SB3 in that situation. But in TGFBI, I needed to take Robbie Ray because I believed more in the win in strikeout totals in the end. It felt safer for me to do. I think Hunter Greene's 4-seamer, especially when elevated, is one of the best pitches in baseball. And also his slider graded better than Spencer Strider's and Christian Javier's. Problem is that Javier and Strider play for the Astros and Atlanta, respectively, and Greene is for the Reds. And it's so annoying. I don't think they're going to slow him down. I understand that your point, Doc. Like the Reds have no reason to push him. Then why did Castillo throw as many innings as he did, and Molly throw as many innings as they did?
Because they wanted to trade them.
Well, then why wouldn't they want to trade Hunter Greene then? I mean,
it's a better contract.
Every team still needs to get those innings, and those aces are not going to stop pitching. They're not going to interrupt their every 5-day cycle. They're just going to keep going.
So let me ask you, in 2018, 68.1 innings, didn't pitch 2019 or 2020. 2021 threw 106 innings, and last year 132. You think they're going to bump that up to 160-ish?
Oh, yeah, more. I mean, they're just not. Once you get to about 135, 140, then it's essentially just like, all right, just go pitch every 5 days. They may do something like at the very end where he's at like 165, 170, and they go, you know what? don't pitch the last game of the season. Just take it easy or whatever.
I will have a friendly bet with you that he
Mhm.
throws less than 150.
Fewer than 150? Sure.
Fewer than 150.
Let's go, Doc.
How about
I feel bad for you because that means you need to root for a pitcher to do poorly, and I'm sorry.
how about you
That
guys
goes against
bet-
everything you believe in.
How about
Yeah,
how about this?
exactly.
How about this bet? The loser has to do 10 push-ups at any point next year at First Pitch Arizona when the winner says you have to do them.
Oh, the anytime.
The anytime
push-up.
push-ups.
That's all right. Yeah, I'm down with
All
that.
right,
That's good
let
content.
me at least get to this. let me get to the ATC and bat lines of 159.
Now
for
you
any
realize,
time.
Doc, I will do it likely one of two scenarios. One, either when I'm doing the On the Corner podcast, I'll have like the mic in front of you as you exhale as you're going down. Or two, if they are so kind to let me actually do it on the main stage at some point, have a panel, I'll be like during it, I'm like, Doc, by the way, just on the side as I do this, can you please come up here?
I'm just thinking, what would be worse for you? Would I
Doc
want you to do 10 separate push-ups, or would you struggle with like 7 or 8?
Doc is
like in a row.
No, Doc is
just did it for
methodical.
the Super Bowl 20. I was like, oh, thank gosh, I got through this. Okay,
Doc is methodical, so he could do like you do 2 now, and he's gonna say like you do 3 here, and then you do like another 2 that, and just like
But before I
out.
agree to this,
fine.
I want to do 159 because that's what 2 projections have. So we'll go with the projections
159?
over under.
No. 150.
Yeah, you already
done.
said
You
it,
can't already
Doc.
go back. Now you're having regrets.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Absolutely not.
Moving the
I
goalposts.
mean, I'll stick to the 150, but if he finishes
Yeah.
with 158,
Well,
What
then
do you
that's
say,
your
Eric? What do you-
problem.
so angry.
What do you
That's on
say?
you.
What do you say when someone backpedals?
You know, they know that they're wrong, I guess, already. I don't know.
he does this like
Are we
annoying thing.
factoring in injury too, right?
Well, of course, that's with every one of this. That would be the worst. part
Okay,
about it,
all
if he has
right.
an injury. I'm not going
All
to
right.
take. Oh, if he gets hurt, then he's done. Like I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
Okay,
all right.
That's part
This
of the
is-
whole thing.
All right, I
This
have the
makes-
time code. Doc and Nick bet for Hunter Green over under.
Gosh,
150
I have
innings
bets.
pitched.
I have bets with so many people about various things.
Wouldn't that just stink if
Now-
you're wrong on
now-
all of them?
Yeah, don't at me on Twitter. Be like, haha, Nick, he got injured. I'm like, how dare you celebrate this?
Oh no. You don't victory lab injuries. That's rule
Yeah,
101.
there it
of
is.
baseball.
Thank you.
I will just say, Nick, I hope those push-ups are ready, but I'll wait like 2 weeks after it happens.
Yeah, I'll give him a call.
Well, it's interesting too because Art was also fading Hunter Green, and I totally dropped the
So,
ball.
so
on that.
why are you fading Hunter Green? All right. All right.
It's the home run issues. The home run issues are a big deal to
Yeah.
me.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that. Am I delayed now? I'm not even sure.
Yep. Oh, we
Um,
love this. We love this.
I think that. Yeah, I think that with him with the home run issues, his ERA is going to be high.
Oh man.
Yeah. If he's locating his fastball up as he did in the second half of last year, or really the last 6 games or something like that, I believe he didn't allow a single hit on an elevated fastball in those 6 games. Every one of his hits were low,
Mhm.
which is kind of insane. So if he does that, then he should be good to go. Should absolutely dominate.
Nick, was there an absolute fade for you in this range?
Everyone not named Hunter Green? No. I have to. I'm just kidding. I have to remember if there was. I mean, yeah, it was Triston McKenzie.
Oh no!
I mean, that is that is the bust.
I feel like we need a
Yeah.
Triston McKenzie bet here.
Didn't we have one? Did we not?
No, I said we might need one.
What do you?
Like,
What do you got here? What do you want?
All right, so Triston McKenzie, I feel like it has to be his like SP finish, because I have him as SP 20 and you have
Okay.
him as SP 40.
I don't think he's going to be inside the SP 30.
So should we go over under 30?
Yeah, that sounds right. 30's a wash. That sounds lovely.
All right, we'll do the same bet. 10.
You might win that one just because of volume, but I'm like, I don't want to go for that. But can I say Kyle Wright? I don't know. He's outside of it, but he's
Yeah,
a
go ahead,
bust.
go ahead.
Kyle Wright, man. He throws a curveball that is really good, and then nothing else. And what is the big thing that we don't like about Kyle Wright from previous years was that his command was really bad. Then he got his control better, but the command was still really bad. And so what likely happens when you have bad command and really good control in the year? You have bad control the next year.
Mhm.
So You're going to have more walks. He already had a 116 whip. His really nice beginning of the season, sure, Erie was still good, but it was like a 120 whip after that. And the K rate fell to 22% range. I just don't want to do it. It seems very scary. He's going to turn into a cherry bomb almost. And that's no fun.
He already got an injection in his shoulder too, didn't he?
Oh, is that right? Oh, boy.
Yeah, he got a cortisone shot.
It's no wonder. This is the funniest part. I was trying to figure this out because I could have sworn. When did he get that, by the way?
I think earlier in February or end of January.
Okay.
His line for the season is over under 13.5 wins, which is crazy high.
Yeah, well, he had 21 last year.
Yeah, but like you said, the numbers don't match up behind the wins.
Yeah, absolutely not. But I could have sworn like everyone was so in. Kyle, right? Like the 30th starting pitcher in like October or something along those lines. And then I blink and I see on this he's 49. Obviously, there are closers in there, so maybe it's like 40.
Yeah.
But I go, wait, what happened? I thought I was the only. What? You guys are not supposed to agree with me. I don't.
I haven't touched Kyle right.
Do things. So
that might be the only one we've all agreed on there. But I am interested to get into this last range really quick. I don't want to hold you up all night, Nick. I want to. Oh, this is. Well, we always enjoy having you here. But last range, let's do our favorite and our fade. We'll do both with each person. So Nick, I'm gonna kick it right back to you. Who is your favorite going in the 31 to 45 range, and then who is your fade in the 31 to 45 range?
Oh man, isn't this okay? I'm trying to understand what that is because
I'm gonna give you the
give me some names, please. Thank you.
I pull up.
I'll say this: there are 3 guys around there that I am going for a lot. Nestor Cortes, despite the hamstring thing, his fastball grades really well with us. PLV is great. Command has been really good. He's done it for a year and a half now, essentially, not just a year. He did the end of 2021, year and a half now. Great situation with the Yankees, etc. Blake Snell is a PLV darling. I struggle with this. I did it purposely for TGFBI by saying, okay, look, I went and got George Kirby and I got Robbie Ray more of a foundation, knowing that I'd be able to get one, most likely, of Hunter Greene, Nestor Cortes, Blake Snell as my exciting one the next round. And I was able to get Blake Snell. I was like, great. There's a guy who could have a 30 to 35% strikeout rate. I think there's one adjustment to be made left. He got rid of the changeup. Blake Snell, great job, buddy. I'm just so proud of you. If you look at his strike zone plots of his four-seamer, you'll see that he's missing arm side and up a ton. Up is fine. I'm fine with that. But he's kind of, it's a mental approach of where are you trying to locate? And if you're always missing the same way, if you just take the whole thing and you just shift it over, all of a sudden Blake Snell becomes one of the better starters in the league. I'm not even kidding. And I think that Blake Snell can make that adjustment, believe it or not. So I love those aspects. Obviously, again, innings, health, all that stuff. But I think this is kind of the range where you're pushing away the absolute foundations and you're taking a chance. The other one there was also Lance Lynn of the same mentality of how many innings we're going to get, but I really like the production. But then the other guy I absolutely adore is Joe Ryan. What's up, buddy? There, I talked about before, guys that can go a lot of innings, but also have another tier to hit. The price is him replicating his ability from the previous season and getting a lot of volume, but there is also a chance of him exceeding that. Joe Ryan, I think, can do that. The four-seamer was really good last year, increased his velocity by a tick, and he's been talking about adding a sweeper, a new slider to the mix. I'm really excited to see that. I think he can excel in an environment in Minnesota where that's a winning ball club. And I'm supposed to give a fade now too, or am we not up to that yet?
No, you can give a fade too. The one thing I was gonna say is with Blake Snell, do you feel like you've taken too many bites of the forbidden fruit? Because we've seen him like tease that there's that. I mean, he won a Cy Young, and then it just seems like there's flashes, but he hasn't been able to fully put it together since. Are you worried that could still show its face again this season, and that it's hard to buy back into what we think Blake Snell could be in that sense?
It sounds like you're saying based on how he's treated us before, we can't expect that to change now.
Well, since it's been multi-years now, I feel like.
Yeah, sure. What I say is this is the skill set that I saw last year from Blake Snell, and I've seen him change and be different things. And as of this point, regardless of how bitter it has made us feel in the past, There's still so much more to like. He's improved. 2021 versus 2022. 2022 was way better in my view. And I think that things are getting better for him. So it's I know we've been scorned by many, y'all, but then you would have missed out on Carlos Rodon and Robbie Ray. So
well,
who cares?
Marty, you're also
Get
a big
over
Blake
it.
Snell fan here.
Yep. I've gotten Blake Snell a bunch. Decreased his walk rate from 12.5 to 9.5, which is that's a huge
So you
shift
take
now.
that fastball and you move it over.
32 strikeout percentage last year, which was in the 92nd percentile. Elite pitching park in San Diego, and team context is pretty good for wins.
That's true. The other thing too is Art, you were a big Cortes fan, so it's like Nick almost saw that you guys both, those are two of your guys too, and Martin, Nestor, Cortes.
Yeah, Nestor, Cortes. Am I delayed again?
It's the best. I love
Nestor,
it.
I got to write down the time codes on this. Got to cut out the delay. Nestor Cortes actually got better in the second half than the first last season, just showing that like he wasn't going to fade. A lot of people predicted he was going to fade. He didn't. I'm getting him everywhere. He's putting up great statistics. And 2021, I remember the statistics was, if you took out wins, he was the number 33 overall pitcher in 2021, if you didn't count wins. So like Nick is saying, he's been doing it for a while. So I love Nestor. I'm getting him everywhere. And I'm fading Fab Freddy Peralta. That's what I'm
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Art. That shoulder's scary. Get it out of here.
All right, I won't put $1 to win for him to win Cy Young.
Doc, also it's interesting because Nick picked one of your guys too, and Lance Lynn, who is your favorite in this range. Nick hit the trifecta, all three guys that you guys are also in on.
This is a fun range. I love this range.
People forget he had a tear in his left knee before the season started, and that tear was something that was nagging him from the season beyond that. And it showed in the first half of last year, 7.5 ERA, a 3.03 batting average against him. Had some rest during the All-Star break, and before that, 2.52 ERA with a 2.22 batting average. Still ended with a sub-4 ERA for the fourth straight season. Great command, 98th percentile in the walk percentage. And not including last year, but 2020, he's thrown at least 150 innings. So he's pretty durable. And then I'm fading Snell. The Cy Young year is the anomaly. 180 innings that year. He's thrown 128 the last two seasons. No double-digit wins outside that Cy Young year, whereas his expected ERA was over a full run higher than his actual ERA. 5.22 ERA first half last year. Like David said, the flashes are there, but nah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see with Blake Snell.
This is it, Doc. I'm telling you.
This is the Blake Snell year.
This is it, Doc.
This is the Blake Snell year?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we already have one bet.
I know.
Right.
What do I know, though? Again.
Marty, we talked about George Kirby a lot, and Nick touched on a little bit about Logan Gilbert in terms of obviously not as high as he is with George Kirby. Are you out on Logan Gilbert this year?
Yeah, I mean, ADP has him at 116. ATC projections have him at a 3.8 ERA, 1.20 whip. It's just when I look at his stuff, I mean, there's nothing just sticks out. I mean, his stuff's fine. His command's average. He's going to have to get every single start to hit that 170 innings and 170 strikeouts. So if he stays perfectly healthy throughout the entire year, then you're going to get what you paid for. But if there's just one little nick, it's not worth it.
Hey, I'm a tall Nick. But one thing I will mention about Logan Gilbert, I remember, I think it was was it Podpalooza, or maybe it was actually during PitchCon? I think it was during PitchCon, because I had to throw myself on a panel with Nino Sars. It's like, I can do this. All right, this is great. I got into a discussion with him about Logan Gilbert versus George Kirby, and he likes Logan Gilbert's four-seamer more. I like George Kirby's more. But when Nino says that, you listen, and I can't help but wonder. I mean, this is the I don't want to say it's a battle against it, but I think a very important part about the discussion of projections, where they're just taking essentially the stuff that has already happened. And I think the most fun thing that I do is I say, all right, this is what they have done. And for some cases, like what they've done is what we expect them to continue doing. And what makes it such a fun game for us as analysts is we get to pick apart who we think is doing exactly what they should do, or if they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing. And so when it comes to next year, Logan Gilbert, I mean, this is going to be his 3rd season. There is so much like, what is next? I don't know, what's going to come for Logan Gilbert. And, you see this splitter that all of a sudden he has, and I've heard really good things about that splitter, right? It's possible that Logan Gilbert, with a really good foundation of throwing a ton of innings, again, Mariners and all that stuff too, very beneficial for him, with a fastball that hasn't performed as well as we think it should because he hasn't had really good secondaries to pair it with. If he gets the secondaries, how much does that vault him, right? I have Logan Gilbert lower than George Kirby because I think there's a higher chance of George Kirby unlocking more from the secondaries, and Gilbert hasn't done it yet. But it is, I don't know. It's so hard for me to give you a good answer about what to expect from Logan Gilbert because it is open the idea that there's more to come, is what I'm trying to say. And the one appealing thing is that it shouldn't go too far down, right? It's not going to get that much worse for Logan Gilbert. I mean, he already has like 2 seasons of just a better than a 120 whip, right? A better than 4 ERA. So in that case, like there's a case to put Logan Gilbert above Blake Snell and Lance Lynn and Hunter Greene and all of these who are not nearly expected to have as many innings as Logan Gilbert. And as I was talking about before, the guys with innings who also could have another gear. So I go back and forth on it. You could be so right, Marty, but like, yeah, Nick, he didn't add anything new, and he's just exactly what the projection said because he's exactly the same. I'm like, yep, that tracks. I'm just so curious of what we get.
It'll be interesting to see. I want to close out this discussion tonight with one last pitcher, and Nick Lodolo, who was my favorite pitcher to break out this year. I like Triston McKenzie. I like George Kirby. These are like my 3 favorite ones going into the year, but Nick Lodolo is definitely my number 1. I really think the step to being elite is coming this year. 20 starting pitchers were projected to have 200 or more strikeouts in 2023, according to Steamer. And he was, this was as of a couple of months ago, but he was one of 2 that was going outside the top. But actually, they both still are. One of the 2 going outside the top 100 on ADP, according to the NFBC. 131 strikeouts and 131.1 innings pitched last year, a 349 xFIP, 29.7% strikeout rate. His 11.41 K per 9 ranked 8th among all pitchers in baseball with at least 100 innings pitched. I'm not going to go into all the notes I have about it, but basically he really worked on his curveball and he added more horizontal movement on it. It lost some velocity, but it helped increase deception on it. And he really looked like he was a different pitcher once that happened down the stretch. And I'm not alone in this. There's a lot of other people I talk about Nick Lodolo as well. But he's got the stuff. He doesn't throw as hard as Hunter Greene, but he has a bigger repertoire that he's working with. And did I say that right? Right?
Vous parlez français?
Don't listen to me when I try to speak words. But yes. But anyway, he is somebody I think is really in line for a breakout this year. I know, could the ground ball rate be a little bit better? For sure. It's definitely better than Hunter Greene's. And I think, again, I won't go into all the notes I have, but just Nick Lodolo, I think is primed to be a breakout this year.
Man, I mean, 48% ground ball rate. What do you want more? Like, that's fine.
I guess I'm underselling it. Yeah, that's not bad.
That's fine. And, oh, man. So I guess my biggest question for you about Nick Lodolo, what do you think that he does that, I mean, sure, the final 77 innings in Nick Lodolo's 2022 were phenomenal. 2.92 ERA, 106 whip, 30% K rate, 9% walk rate. Do you think that that's just kind of who Lodolo is? Do you think this year, when you talk about a breakout, is there something different to what he's doing that would outline that breakout?
Well, down the stretch last year, which is, I think, again, coinciding with the breakout that I think he'll have this year. They talked about that he was working in his sinker and that he was throwing earlier in counts and putting them in better places. So that way he was setting up his curveball and his four-seam fastball with 2 strikes. And that was something
Yeah.
he kind of worked as a different approach down the stretch. And that was obviously setting up for more success. He was using his fastballs up in the zone and then obviously while placing his sinker as well. Just again, and you look at the numbers as it was coinciding down the year, because over his last 88.2 innings, a 3.35 ERA. I think people will look at his season-long numbers. They look at the back injury he had, and they won't see that part of the season where he was making those tangible changes that I think he's going to carry into him this year to have a full season of that.
It would be so nice to have an elite pitcher named Nick. Oh, I've been waiting all my life for this. But I hope you're right. In my view, for Lodolo, the changeup needs to get better. He did try to do that four-seamer up and in a decent amount last year, and it kind of worked. It kind of didn't. There's also a lot of disagreement about like how many four-seamers and sinkers he threw, and we were like, pitcher lists is right, and then it's wrong, and then it's right. Like it's a hilarious thing. But I think there overall needs to be better command. Lodolo throws a lower arm angle. Excuse me. That is a slinger type, kind of like Manoah does, Andrew Heaney, that kind of thing. And that generally means that you're going to miss a lot in the middle of the zone more so than other guys. And we see that in his sinker last year, like a lot of the plate, a lot of the time. The changeup did not do enough, in my view. And that led to that 9% walk rate. So if something does get changed, like for example, I was really low on Cease last year, but I didn't expect him to all of a sudden throw 45% sliders. Like, oh, okay, that's a good thing. And I should have seen that possibility. I don't think that Lodolo can be like a 35-40% curveball guy though. So I hope it gets better. You never really know. Command numbers the first year are always a little bit wonky because guys are coming up for the first time and it's all different. And I would love it. I remember actually like in August of last year, this is what I do. I'm so bad at this. I'm like in the SB roundup and I go, oh man, Nick Lodolo, guys, I'm going to be so in Nick Lodolo. Like, I'll have him as in like my 50s or something in my ranks, and I'll be getting him in every league. And you get to draft time, I'm seeing him go like 35th. I'm like, everybody is in though. That's not fair. So Reed Detmers, that's the guy.
Everybody's I see people talking him up.
Reed Detmers, let's go. Let's go.
Reed Detmers, he's going to be, I'm sure, mentioned in our next episode.
Forget everything else I said. It's Reed Detmers.
Reed Detmers.
Yeah, the hour 30 we had, just wipe it all away.
Forget it.
Reed Detmers.
Like everything you know about mattresses, forget this podcast. Everything you know, it's just Reed Detmers.
Well, I'll be interested because we have Michael Simeone coming on next week. So I'll be interested if he picks Reed Detmers, and if he doesn't, I'm going to tell him that Uncle Nick is going to come and be very upset.
Wow, I'm his uncle. Jesus.
Well, actually, you guys are probably like the same age.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you try to sneak in Reed Detmers once every 10 minutes of the next podcast?
I think we can do that.
Challenge accepted.
Just say Reed Detmers at least once. Maybe like Reed Detmers or something. But anyway,
Reed Detmers, Giolito, we'll get him in the next episode too. Mike.
So I know we are at the hour 30 mark right now. I prepared a game if you guys want to finish it out for 5 minutes.
Nick is in.
Why else do we do this?
I figured it's the triple play staple.
Let's do it.
Let's go. I'm ready to lose.
I don't know which game you played with us, Nick. We haven't done this in a while. So I'm going to give you a player, and I'm going to give you all the teams they played on, and you have to give me the order in which they played. And you get a right point for each placement.
A right point.
Wow.
So I have
what about a left point? Do I get any of those?
God, Nick, I hate you so much. That's why I have you going first, actually.
Sorry.
That's why I have you going first.
It's because David said so. I wasn't going to say anything, but he whispered into the mic.
He stood up on a silver platter, Doc. I had to.
Oh, gosh. I'm just embarrassing myself. So,
No, never.
Nick, you guys might need a pen and paper ready or like notepad on your phone or something.
Right. Okay. I got my
the honor system.
Let's go.
Yep. So, Nick, the first guy we're starting, or the first guy is Charlie Morton. So the teams you can get a total of 6 points.
Oh my gosh.
Teams he's played for is Atlanta twice.
Yeah.
Philly, Houston, Tampa Bay, and Pittsburgh.
Okay. So he started with Atlanta and went to Philly to Pittsburgh. Then went to Philly. And then he went to which was in between Houston. Then he went to Tampa Bay. Then he went to Atlanta.
Okay. Art, you're next.
We're all doing the same one. Okay, I wasn't ready.
Oh, I think I'm just gonna. Can I do any better than that? I think I'm gonna just copy Nick if that's okay. I think that's because I wasn't sure where Pittsburgh. If I was gonna change it, I might go Pittsburgh then Atlanta for the first two.
So then do that.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. But I'm probably wrong.
So you're switching the first two?
Yeah.
Okay. David?
So give me the teams again, because I did not write it down.
Atlanta twice, Philly, Houston, Tampa Bay, and Pitt.
Houston, Tampa Bay, Pitt. Marty, do you already have them written down?
Yeah, I can do mine.
Yeah, why don't you? I'll put it in order.
And I have absolutely no idea. So I'm gonna do Pitt, Philly, Tampa Bay, Houston, Braves.
Wait, no, I didn't slow down a little bit.
It doesn't matter. He didn't get it right. So
Pitt, Philly, Tampa Bay, Houston, Braves.
That's 5, but
there's Atlanta twice, Marty.
it was Atlanta and then Atlanta.
Yeah, that's what. No, Atlanta to begin his career.
okay, gotcha.
No,
And
I know Tampa Bay was actually it was Tampa Bay then the Braves. Switch my Houston with Tampa.
All right, then say it one more time.
All right,
This is great.
Atlanta, Pittsburgh,
Great radio here.
Philly,
Great podcast.
Houston, Tampa Bay, Atlanta.
Oh, now you're just copying mine. Okay.
Is that
all right?
Yeah,
I
you
got it
literally
right.
copied Nick's. All right,
I did
David.
not
No,
listen to what
fine.
I didn't listen to what Nick's was, so I just put him in the order I think it is.
I haven't listened to a word Nick said this whole time.
What? Did you say something, Marty?
Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Philly, Houston, Tampa Bay, Atlanta.
So Nick's.
Is that what he said too?
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's the correct answer.
It is the correct order.
Yeah, I was like,
You guys
okay,
all
I was
got
like,
6 besides
And
Art,
I
who got
tricked-
4
I
for
tricked-
switching the first 2.
I tricked Cheesecake. That's my. I did that.
All right.
I had the courage to have my own opinion.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
just
Elsie,
like the
I'm
right
going
opinion.
first to you for this next guy. It's going to be Lance Lynn. You can
Okay.
get a total of 5 points. The teams he's played for: Texas, St. Louis, White Sox, Yankees, and Twins. I have one more guy, and then I have a tiebreaker.
Okay.
And the tiebreaker is so obscure, there's no way your guys are going to get it right.
Okay. I'm pretty sure
Okay,
I'm gonna get
I think it's St. Louis, Minnesota, Yankees, Rangers, White Sox.
Hold on, say it one more time.
Cardinals, Twins, Yankees, Rangers, then White Sox.
Okay, David.
Put that as my order too, if you want.
Yeah, that's mine.
I'm going. Oh crap! Is it? Oh crap! I thought I had it.
Do you want the right one, David?
No, you know what? I'm gonna be like, dang, David, you're the only one who got it right here. That's what we're gonna hear in a second. Yankees, Yankees, St. Louis, Texas, Twins, White Sox.
Dang, David, you're the only one that didn't get it right.
Yeah, dang, David with the Vans. Oh.
Lynn was just on the Rangers. You know this.
And there's no way he started with the Yankees.
Yeah, David, you
He's
only
a
got
Cardinal
the most
boy.
recent team.
I only got what?
You only got the most recent team.
He was trading the Dane Dunning deal from the Rangers to the White Sox.
I couldn't remember if it was the Twins or the Rangers, the last team he was on before the White Sox.
So going into the final one before the tiebreaker, Nick and Marty are both tied at 11. Art has 9 and David has 7. So still anyone's game.
7 is the lucky number. So
David, we're starting
Who's
with
the real
you
winner?
for this one. Nelson Cruz.
Oh God.
boy.
Oh, gosh.
You can get a total of 8 points.
Oh my gosh.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, give me the teams.
Wait, don't give actually any of the teams.
They try to have to guess all the teams.
No, go ahead.
Well,
The Nats, the O's, Mariners,
oh wait, wait a
Padres,
second.
because I'm counting the
O's,
Padres.
Mariners,
Padres,
the
the Brewers,
Brewers,
the Rangers,
Rangers.
Twins, and
Mhm.
Rays.
Oh
Wow.
man,
Oh,
this
boy.
is okay.
Wow, this is a
Yeah,
tough
yeah,
one.
we started easy. We got no. I should have started with Lynn actually, but
Okay.
Can you go through them one more time?
yep. Nats, O's, Mariners, Padres, Brewers, Rangers, Twins, Rays.
Jeez.
And David, we're starting with you.
You have to like give me a second to.
Okay, then we're starting with Marty.
I think he needs a second. We all need a second.
Yeah,
Just
give
fi-
us. We got 8 here.
Phil, you know what? It is gonna be a perfect time as we're doing our answers. I was gonna work this in anyway. Underdog is a sponsor of Triple Play Fantasy.
David, play the video. I'll play the
Please make
video.
I'm about to play the video. Please make sure you guys use code Triple with Underdog, and you will get a deposit match up to $100. Watch our favorite Underdog ad play while we get these answers ready.
I can tell you nothing's made me feel more corporate than playing an ad in between segments.
I know, right?
That
Okay.
music's good though. I don't mind that.
All
But
right.
that was enough. That was 52 seconds on top of what I gave.
Oh,
Okay.
David, let's hear you. And please go slow because remember, this is 8 teams.
Okay. I'm gonna go Rangers first, then the Brewers, then the Orioles, then the Rays, then the Twins, then the Nats, then the Mariners, and then the Padres.
Okay. Marty?
I had no idea he ever played on Milwaukee, so I'm not even going to do that in my answer. Like, I did not know that. Rangers, Baltimore, Seattle, Minnesota, Padres, Tampa Bay, and Washington.
Wait, can you say that one more time?
Sure. Texas, Baltimore, Seattle, Minnesota, San Diego, Tampa Bay, Washington.
You said 7. I think there was 8.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
he
believe he
said
was
that
on the
he's-
Brewers.
Yeah, he's getting rid of the Brewers.
Believe
I
it.
just don't believe it, and I don't want the point, even if I don't know when. It would probably be before Texas, because I didn't even know. Maybe he was traded. Okay, before Texas, but the Brewers, I guess.
Okay, then can you say it one more time? You are so difficult at this game.
Put the Brewers in front of Texas.
Let's put the Brewers in the
Brewers,
front.
Texas, Baltimore, Seattle, Minnesota, San Diego, Tampa Bay, Washington.
Okay.
Don't give us 8 choices and then complain that it's confusing.
Just stick to your list.
You need to listen. To it.
Okay.
Gosh, I'm rooting for you to lose now, Marty. Nick, go ahead. I'm rooting for you now.
Go to Cheesecake first.
Okay.
Brewers, Rangers, Orioles, Mariners, Twins, Rays, Nats, Padres.
Okay. And then Nick.
See, that's the thing is, I've been wrestling with this. Did he get signed by the Brewers and then traded to the Rangers? Because I know he came up with the Rangers. And I remember like in 2012, one of the best trades ever made was in my keeper league to get Nelson Cruz. But it's driving me nuts. And then was the Orioles before or after the Mariners? And I want it to be before.
Tricky.
So I'm just gonna go with my gut, whatever it was. It was Texas, Orioles, Mariners, Milwaukee just showing up for a second.
Wait. You said Texas first.
Texas, Orioles, Mariners, Brewers, Twins, Rays, Nationals. Guys, he's on the Padres now.
Yeah.
Well, not everyone said yeah.
Everybody got that besides Marty.
Oops.
Oh yeah, Marty.
So that's what I got.
Well, I said Washington.
Let me ask you, because there was no way David was going to win. It was between Nick, Art, and Marty. Who do you guys think won?
Not me.
Did I get all of them right though?
Nick.
No, Dave, you got 3.
I'm guessing Nick did.
That'd be my guess.
Art, you won! Perfect to end the game! All 8!
What?
Wait,
You
who?
got all 8 to end the game?
And Art's on lag!
The delayed
What was it?
celebration.
What was it?
And Marty, the reason I asked is because when you said Brewers and you're like, I'm not counting them, that changed your answer from 1 to 5.
Oh, man.
So the answer was Brewers, Rangers, Orioles, Mariners, Twins, Tampa, Nats, Padres.
Yeah, I had it. I should have just started with the Brewers. Oh my gosh!
Jeez. Nelson Cruz comes back to bite us.
Oh my gosh, LC with a perfect score to end it. Wow.
That's the way to end the game. Holy
Unreal.
moly.
Oh,
Congrats,
that's beautiful.
Congrats.
Oh man. Well, Nick, that was a blast. That was a lot of pitching, some games played, so many jokes I lost count. Ton of fun with you, man. Please plug all the great work you do over at Pitcher List. Please plug PL Pro because I've got a firsthand looking at it. It's awesome. Plug everything.
Well, first and foremost, if you're listening to this and you haven't reviewed it, what are you doing? Go rate and review on iTunes, wherever you listen to the Triple Play podcast. These guys work their butts off for this, and they deserve your 5-star review. But yeah, go check out PL Pro. We have our live draft assistant tool, which is really helpful. We have our projections that are infused with ATC and PLV, our pitching quantifying metric, which is unique to everything. And then also our DFS projections that are coming out that are going to utilize said pitch quantifier to make you a differentiator for your league. So go check it out at the site. We have everything and stuff. It's cool. Just come hang out. And yeah, have you left that review yet? Why not go back and do that?
Nick, I've already said it a billion times, I know, but for those, again, Nick is the hardest working guy in the industry. The amount of stuff that he's doing over at Pitcher List, the articles that go out, if you just read one edition of the list, you see the amount of work he does, just writing those articles, managing the staff that he has over there. Obviously, you can see the website and every single detail that they have over there. It is the standard for independent, doing any type of independent stuff in the baseball industry. And you learn a lot just going over there, looking at all the stuff. They have a bunch of free stuff. They have a bunch of free podcasts you can listen to. They have everything. So make sure you guys take anything, go check out Pitcher List and all the great stuff that they do over there. It will make you a better fantasy baseball player. And it's just overall a great time. So make sure you check that stuff out. For Nick, for a little cheesecake, for Marty Party, for Doc, I'm D Mendy. We're going to make like a bread truck and we're going to haul these buns. We'll catch you guys next week.